How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting. Welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday. Last time we were here, we got to see Marimo again, which is very fun to see. She's very much involved in a lot of the stuff. Unfortunately, she's getting entangled up in a lot of the politics as well. But there's a lot going on. But it's good to know that the hands that are guiding, like, the forces of Japan right now are good hands we can trust. And speaking of being trusted, looks like our merry band is about to become the personal, like, call squad for Marimo. Like I said it the last time, I think what she's kind of doing here, she's making her own version of the Valkyries, probably based on the success that she saw with Yuko Sensei. She's now kind of emulating a lot of those leadership traits that she was able to witness, I believe. And so she's chosen to make us the foundation, where there's just a very fragmented foundation of what's going on. With like the survivors and the little force that the Japanese TSF army has access to. She needs somebody who can like be a fixer, who can jump around and take care of problem situations, and she also just needs a personal staff that she can trust. And so that's kind of what we've become. I think she even said we're Squad 17 to give us a unique name. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. Also, we learned Canada apparently betrayed everyone. Like, who saw that coming? So Ellen apparently is former Canadian. Well, technically Canadian, but she's defected and joined the Japanese Royal Army. But he's like a little off about it because apparently Canada and France united and struck at America right after the Great Collapse. Pretty much kind of like what we knew was going to happen, that humanity was, as soon as they thought the beta were gone, were immediately going to turn on each other, essentially, because like it was like an opportunity. There's a lot of people who've been feeling oppressed and just feeling like everything kind of got shut down for them, making a stand and taking a step. Apparently in the chaos, Canada and France did so and reclaimed territory. It sounds like they claimed the northeast, essentially, so like Quebec, but maybe even down to New England. Which, if that's true, that's actually pretty notable. I mean, there's a lot of, like, infrastructure that would be on the east coast of the United States that would still be intact. That would actually make it a decent force to be reckoned with, a new Canada, whatever's going on there. So yeah, apparently they're in, like, open hostilities with them. I didn't see it coming, but it's really cool to see. So we're going to jump in, we're going to see how this integration is going to go, and, like, trying to have this kind of trust we're going to need to build up with Ellen, which is going to be sounding like the main, like, antagonist of the early days of the squad. But sorry, I don't know why I'm yawning so much, but we're excited to be jumping in here. So let's jump right back into it, get immersed in this wonderful story that we're going to be sharing together. So let's go. So it's a surprise. So you're telling me you haven't been around Seattle at all?
そうね。病室から戦術機のコックピットに直行って感じだったから。
Yeah, imagine.
辰波注意
よ、なんだ3人とも一緒だったのか。
I know it's a little early to be calling for a screenshot, but this is a decent one.
お二人も事務局に用事があったみたいで、結局そのままご一緒させていただいて。
Oh man, I mean, come on. Like, a lot of you are definitely on Team Ellen, I know, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of good points for her besides just like the hilariousness that she already has displayed. Like, she does seem to be a proponent of pranking, but come on, Yuzuka's adorable. Look at that face, she's so cute.
なるほどな。
All surface pilots have standard routines to run after an operation's over. Pain in the butt, but that's life. Anyway, looks like Yuzuka's hit it off with them quite nicely. There's a load off my mind. I was kind of worried after what happened in the hangar.
それじゃ雫、私たちは退散よ。子供は寝る時間。
Wait, is it? It looks really bright out. How long were we in that meeting?
でもまだお昼ですよ。
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
燃え上がる二人には時間は関係ないのよ。さあ、帰りましょう。
Hey, wait. We actually have business to discuss first.
ちょっとエース少尉。
Oh, Yuzuka.
まあいや、二人もここにいてくれ。
はあ、それが注意たちのご趣味なら？しかし、 雫にはいささか刺激が強すぎるかと。
Alright, I can see why you guys like Ellen. She's really funny. She's on the point every time.
あのね、
まあ確かに刺激はあるかもしれん。
あら、
注意。
いや真面目な話だって。
Amazing how everything turns sexual innuendo when Lieutenant Ice is around. Well, she's an oddball for sure, but it takes a real veteran to set up a good mood like this.
まあとにかくだな。みんなに話がある。聞いてくれ。
はい、何でしょうか。
Good news, everyone!
明日正式な辞令があるが、エイス少尉、ミオの少尉は正式に俺の正体に配属されることになった。
本当ですか？本当に本当ですか？
And Shizuku is adorable, but she's way in the category of like must protect category, a type of like she deserves all the head pats.
まあ本当だぞ。これからよろしくな。
Yeah.
よろしくお願いします。うわー、これでまた注意と一緒に戦えるんですね。
よろしくお願いします。注意、仙道少尉。まさか本当にこういうことになるとは。
I feel like you kind of saw this coming.
本当だね。
お？
さっき二人とは一緒の編成になれたらって話をしてたんですよ。
ああ。
本当にその通りになりましたね。よろしくお願いします。こちらこそ共に頑張りましょう。
Yeah. Very formal. Everyone's all happy. Yay.
それから俺たちの隊についてなんだが、新規編成されることになった。
Oh yeah, so they were Drake.
俺たちはこれから
17th flight.
第17小隊、大隊付き小隊として活動していくことになる。
I don't know. I like the number 17, so that actually is kind of cool.
大体付きですか？
Yeah, so get ready for some clerical work, apparently.
大体好き？
大体付きって何ですか？
簡単に言えば、雑用係とか便利屋というものよ。
Oh, well, okay.
雑用係なんですか？
No, it's a bit more than that.
いや、そうと決めつけるのは早いぞ。何しろ神宮寺少佐直属だからな。
お言葉ですが注意。むしろ雑用以外ないように思うんですが。
Oh, we'll definitely be stuck with odd jobs, but in combat situations, we're gonna be the fix-it crew.
え？そうなのか？そりゃ俺だって大隊付きが便利屋部隊なの知ってるけどさ、このシアトルで神宮寺少佐直属ってなんかすごくね？
You're right. It might not feel like it, though. I bet you when they get started, you'll be like, why are we wasting our time with this? But it's gonna be important.
ですね。このシアトルで多忙な人間を順番に上げていくとしたら、少佐はまず5本の指に収まると思いますよ。その直属となればご多分に漏れず。いえ、それ以上に激しく雑用係だと思いますが。
We get to work together?
なんだよお前ら。そんなに大隊付きが嫌かよ。
ね、そうもありません。ねえ、雫。楽しみよね。
とっても嬉しいです。
It's like they're on the same wavelength, except not. Same deal as with the cardboard box incident. But man, special duty squads really have a crappy reputation, don't they? It's true, life ain't easy as special duty squad. I remember when me and Yuzuka were in Kyushu, and those guys wouldn't stop complaining for a second.
まあでも、これはもう決まったことだ。愚痴は今だけにして、精一杯取り組んでくれ。
もちろんです。
了解。
Yeah.
今回は俺たちの隊だけでなく全体として大幅な再編が行われる。詳しいことは明日神宮寺少佐から直接
大隊長直々。
この間のような戦う前から命を危険にさらすようなことを少しでも是正するためなんだと思ってくれて構わない。
Oh, got serious all of a sudden. Yeesh, yeah.
俺たちにできることをきっちりこなしていこう。いいな、みんな。
There's a good perspective.
了解。
よし、明日についてだが部隊走の後時間は11時だから、そうだな、1030に三熊前に集合してくれ。
Nice. Good organizing. 30 minutes early. Make sure you're on time.
了解。
それからもう一つ。今更といえばそうなんだが。
何でしょうか。
作戦中以外、タイの中では堅苦しいのはなしだ。敬語とか特にうるさく言うつもりはねえし、みんなもそのつもりで。
Interesting. I can't say I disapprove, but well, I guess it kind of works though because we already know that they can coordinate well, they are good at what they do, so they can probably afford to be the more casual side of things.
本当に今更じゃなくて感謝いたします。日本語に不自由しておりますので。
Oh, yeah, because you don't sound at all like you're not able to communicate Japanese. Man, I'm jealous. I wish I just knew Japanese. Could I just wake up tomorrow and just know it? That'd be so nice. Could have fooled me.
お墨付きを与えてやったんだ。感謝しろよ。
はい、ありがとうございます。
You seem to handle the words just fine, though. It's a never-ending stream of double entendres that's the problem.
敬語じゃダメなんですか？
やりにくかったら別にいいぞ。それにもちろん、他人がいるときは使ってくれなきゃ困る。
Right. People could start thinking our flight lacks discipline if she goes all casual in front of other soldiers.
でも周りに人がいなければ、あんまり堅苦しすぎるのは嫌なんだよ。
でも、仙道少尉も敬語ですよね。
Do we?
こいつはこれでナチュラ
she
ルだ
does,
から
yeah.
ほっとけ。
Yeah, that's just what she does.
注意？今のはどういう意味でしょうか？これでっていうの、すっごく気になるんですが。
I mean, yeah, you'd argue she's technically setting the better example.
しかし意外ですね。日本人は礼節にこだわる民族だと思っていました。
Well, yeah, but not everyone's the same. No, you ain't surprised. You just want to make fun of me, that's all.
大西洋でアメリカ軍式に慣れちまったからかもな。あれはあれで悪くねえし、特に口語と敬語が入れ替わる瞬間に気合が入るじゃんか。とにかく、それがこのタイの流儀だってことは覚えておいてくれ。
了解。
伝達事項は以上だ。さて、宿舎に戻るんだろ。途中まででも一緒に歩かないか。
はい、喜んで。
もちろん喜んで。
Why is he suspicious?
どうかされましたか？
Oh, probably
注
a
意。
Canadian thing.
いや、今のは何かある前兆かと思ったのに、何もなかったなと思って。
あら、私だっていつでもおちゃらけているわけではないんですよ。せっかく注意にお誘いいただいたから気持ちを素直に表したのに。
Just wait, it'll come. Later on, we're going to be able to see some shenanigans, I'm sure.
ああ、そうなんだ。すまん。
I find that hard to believe.
ところで注意、さっき聞いたんですが、お二人と私たち同じ宿舎だったみたいですよ。
Wait, how do you mean?
ああ、そうだったのか。と言っても俺たち最近まで宿舎なんて使ってなかったけどな。
聞きました。先日まで入院されてたんでしたね。どうですか、宿舎の住み心地は。
Do we remember?
快適すぎて驚きだわ。個室だって言うだけで信じられない。洋上暮らしが長かったもんでね。
Oh, wow. The ship was huge, but inside was on the narrow side. Personal space was a luxury known to very few of us. Sure, surface pilots get preferential treatment, but we really didn't have it that much better. Yeah, no. If you've ever been able to spend time even doing like a tour of a Navy ship, like space is premium, and like a lot of the space for any of those ships is for hardware, like mechanisms, guns and ammunition storage, fuel storage. Yeah, no, like if you want to live a life of claustrophobia, go work in the Navy, because that's pretty much what it is. It's just tight spaces throughout the entire thing.
モーテルって言うんでしたっけ？アメリカのああいう施設。
Well, they're living in a motel right now? Weird. It must just be like a repurposed one or something.
そうです。土地がふんだんにあるアメリカならではの施設ですよ。あの手の建物は挑発に困らないみたいです。
It's weird to even imagine people having before the Great Collapse. Is she mean like not travel hobby nowadays is in like pre like beta invasion, and it's like just not being used for much, or before the like after the Beta invasion, but before the Great Collapse, were Americans still being able to travel and like kind of have vacations? Because in such a crazy state of war, you know, remember 5 billion dead, to think Americans could still travel and like be able to have vacations and stuff, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Especially, I mean, think about the conditions living in like Japan and all these other stories, and like the Americans having it well enough off that they actually could do like traveling. That's crazy. Yeah, I can see why you needed places like this back when the interstate travel was a thing. A literal godsend to travelers. The United States is a large country. North America is a sprawling continent. Not that it does as much good these days, considering most of its uncharted territory after the Great Ocean collapse. Oh, dang, that's crazy. Literally half the places we've investigated are low oxygen zones that you can't survive in without oxygen mask. No man's land. I wonder if they're going to explain exactly why there are places that have low oxygen zones and like what are the conditions of it. Low oxygen would... Okay, well, my guess might be if the Great Ocean collapse released a lot of, like, heavy gases, like CO2, perhaps, then those gases being, like more dense than oxygen would be lower, and thus anywhere with low elevation could accumulate a lot of those types of gases. That could be it. But to have it on such a scale that it's, like, planet-wide is insane. Yeah, I hope they explain that a little bit better, because I'm really curious to know more about those types of things. And the less said about the other half, the better.
ああ、そうだ。すみません。少しよろしいですか?
I wonder if she's just gonna come out and say it. Kind of makes sense. Because I would anticipate he would look at my records, so...
なんだ?
That was weird. The audio sounded very strange there.
先ほど私たち自己紹介をしていたんですが、
Right.
仙道少尉に言い忘れたことがありました。
何かしら？
注意はすでにご存知でしょうから、少尉にもお伝えしておかなければいけないと思いますので。
Okay, we're just gonna have to come out and have the conversation now, huh? Wait, would have been nice if we could have pretended it didn't exist, but it's better now than ever, you know? I'm a rip the band-aid off kind of guy. What is she talking about?
私、エレン・エイスは、カナダ人です。
Right.
おい!
別にこれは機密情報ではありませんから、雫も知っています。
She's right about that, so it should be fine in theory. But I never expected her to just come out and say it. The problem is, I don't think Ellen understands that these two had some pretty traumatic interactions, apparently, with the whole Canadian uprising. So, yeesh. Nah, this is entirely on me. Once I found out about her background, I started thinking of her as a Canadian soldier, and that's wrong. Her race and national origin don't matter anymore. She's one of us now. Period.
先ほどは同じ隊になるとは思っていなかったので、特に波風を立てる必要もないと口にはしませんでしたが。
I think it's like I said, I'm a band-aid off kind of guy. Like I'm glad they're doing it now, but yeesh.
これから背中を預け合う仲間として過ごすなら、仙道少尉にだけ知らせないのはフェアではないですから。
さあ、ありがとう。
There's a mood killer.
今のアメリカはさすがにカナダ人を抱えたくはないみたいで、帝国軍に拾っていただいて感謝してますわ。
Right. Yuzuka.
俺としちゃ、エース少尉ぐらい優秀な英士は大歓迎だぜ。
褒めても何も出ませんよ。
嘘つけ。出るだろ。起動効果の視覚のこととかさ。
Oh, yeah, just drop that bomb. Oh, crap!
起動効果って、それじゃ、そこらの英士とは格が違う。
She's like, oh, I didn't want you to talk about that.
エレンちゃんすごい！知らなかったよ！
Great rocky start. Oh boy.
これだって機密情報じゃないだろ。実戦効果の経験はあるのか？
I wonder if she's a chicken diver.
エレンちゃん？どうしたの？
いえ、参りましたね。そっか。確かにそんなことも言いましたね。
You had to.
じゃあ。
ええ。確かに以前は機動効果兵団に所属していました。
Honestly,
降下経験も一応あります。
I mean, that's still impressive. If I remember correctly from Chicken Divers, which is one of the best shorts there is, like, so on normal battlefields, the average lifespan of a TSF pilot's 8 minutes, right? Like 8 minutes of death. Orbital divers, I think they have a survival rate of 30%. Like, it's like that was why it was like, if you could do 5, it was like insane, because it was like the odds were like you couldn't survive 3 drops. And so the fact that she survived 1 is impressive.
すごい。
ほらな、逸材なんてもんじゃない。どうして隠してたんだよ。
本当だよ。私も初めて聞いたよ。
別に隠していたわけじゃありませんが、単に今の人類にとって宇宙は果てしなく遠い世界になってしまっただけですよ。
Oh. Yeah. So now they can't go to space? Like, is that just we don't have the technology right now, or is there some other reason?
機動降下兵団所属という経歴が自分を生かしてくれたわけじゃありません。
I see.
過去の功績がいかなるものであれ、今更こだわっても仕方がないじゃないですか。
Interesting. So if space isn't available to us anymore, that's really bad, actually, because that really was one of the best advantages humanity had, is we could travel, we could use space to our advantage. So if that's not available, oh, you know what it might be? It might be debris. If there's a debris cloud after the events of Babylon, and the debris cloud is severe enough, it could mean that effectively all space flight is just too dangerous, because like half or more of the flights you send up and spend the resources to get up there just get destroyed. Like that doesn't work anymore. It's actually a really, really real problem we could be facing. There's already a ton of debris up there. In fact, we had a recent event, I don't know if you were paying attention, but just because it's the kind of stuff that I pay attention to, but not most people do. But there was a story about about a month ago, where Russia decided to destroy I believe a satellite that was in a decaying orbit, and they weren't able to control its descent, because like you're supposed to be able to, like, if you're going to retire something voluntarily or otherwise, you're supposed to drop it over the Pacific window. We have this kind of like no-fly zone over the Pacific, where it's just like the furthest point from landmass of anywhere on the planet, and the idea is that that's where we crash and fly like debris into the planet, just so it's really unlikely to hit anybody. So like no one flies over that space. I think boats are even told to avoid it too, because it just makes sure that nothing accidentally can, like, because sometimes you have an emergency and you have to divert something out of orbit, like, and you don't have a lot of time to, like, you know, coordinate stuff. So it's just good to have a kind of a crash site that's designated as a place for that. But I guess Russia had an issue where they were going to have trouble with this thing descending. They couldn't control it, so they weren't going to be able to control where it landed. So they decided to destroy it with a missile or something like that. But the problem is that when they did so, it actually blasted a bunch of debris into, or like it blasted debris that stayed in its orbital trajectory for like days, and it actually intersected with the International Space Station. The astronauts had to like seal themselves in a single portion of the craft, which I'm guessing was like just a place that was the most likely to be protected, probably somewhere centralized, so like any debris that was flying through would be slowed down by impacting other places of the station, and also likely were in spacesuits and had access to any materials they could, where like they could maybe have an emergency response if there was a puncture of some kind. But there was damage to the station that had to be repaired. And like, I don't know if they actively had astronauts on the ISS, but Russia usually does. And so like, they actually endangered their own people in doing this exercise. And so that's one instance of debris. And we're actually working on these really cool mechanics where we have, we're working on this idea of like, nets essentially that blast out and kind of like collect debris in a packet that then can be moved away. So like, we're trying to prepare for the fact that like eventually debris is going to become like a liability and an issue. And then there's that movie Gravity that really kind of encapsulates this idea of like debris fields in a like sci-fi horror-esque type way. That movie's problematic in a lot of ways for someone who enjoys like something that's realistic. because it's taking a very realistic like thing that's happening, but they take a lot of liberties to tell a story with it. So it's this weird blend of like pseudo-realism, but absolutely not realistic. But it's a great video to kind of talk about what could eventually happen with debris. Anyway, so I'm geeking out about all this, but the reason why is because that would be my biggest guess for what is causing the problems. Now, I'm sure it'll tell me. I hope it does. Like, I'd love to know like what the actual reasoning for the writer is, but I'd love to kind of see what they say here. So let's just continue on and see how it goes.
あ、今さりげなく自慢しなかったか?
A little bit.
いえ、割とあからさまにしたつもりです。何にしても、私の腕前はともかく、その経歴自体に大した意味はありませんよ。
Hey, besides, you got your pranking, which is great. You seem to be a very nice person, honestly. But when it comes to piloting, like, we need you.
もっとも、その腕前にしたって特別抜きん出ているわけでもない。むしろ雫の方が逸材ですね。
Humble bragging much? I guess that's just who she is. Keeping her swagger in check ain't something that comes naturally to a lieutenant of ice. Well, nothing wrong with that when you can walk the walk. If this were the UN forces, she'd be one calling the shots, not me. But life ain't fair, so here she is. I can tell, from the tinge of self-depreciation that lingers behind her words, that she hasn't made peace with her past. And I can't blame her for taking it pretty hard these days. Space feels like it's forever beyond humanity's reach. All that hard work and time spent on researching her goal to end up grounded like the rest of us. Dang. Maybe that explains why she's cracking jokes all the time. If you ain't serious, you can always play it safe. Walk back anything that slips out. I mean, it's not a bad self-defense.
まあとにかくだ。言いづらいことを口にしてくれて感謝するよ。
いえ、別に。
教えてくれてありがとう、エイショイ。おかげで心置きなくあなたを頼りにできるわ。
エレンで。堅苦しいのもなんだし、ここまで語っちゃったしね。
Oh yeah.
わかりました。じゃあ改めてエレン。
じゃ俺もそうさせてもらうか。エレンでいいだろう。
ええ。では私もいいですよね。キビキ？
キビキ? She's like, you don't call him by his first name!
Oh.
Hibiki. I like how she did that delivery.
おや？どうかしましたか？ゆずか？
なんでもありません。はいはい。じゃあ私もよろしくお願いします。
ああ、よろしくな、ミオの。
私は名字なんですか？
まあ日本人だとなぜか名字の方が呼びやすいんだよな。
I'm singing double standards, but whatever.
そうかな。私の名字って呼びにくいと思うんですけど、ミオノですよ。
Miono? I wonder why that sounds harsh. Is that close to a word that's kind of like grating, maybe? I'd love to know if anyone knows why Miono seems harsh. I'd love to hear what you think about it.
ああ、でもなんかさ、ミオノって字面がいいじゃん？美しい桜だぞ。
Ah, interesting.
そんでもってその雫なわけだ。花びらじゃなくて雫。なんていうか、名付けた人の感性素晴らしいよな。
Based on meaning, then, Shizuko Miono. That is very pretty, like, together, then, if it means everlasting cherry blossoms. Like, and, you know, special naming and phrasing for you know, Muv-Luv fans.
その国にはその国の名前の由来がある。日本は名字あっての名前だよ。久しぶりにそれを実感した。
Yep, my history's names, I'm not like broadcasting my last name. I even don't reference my first name very often, though I'm not too shy about it. Jordan, but it's a very common name. But I don't broadcast my last name just because it's safer in a lot of ways. You can find it if you look hard enough, and I know that. But it's also just not something I just like, you know, blast out anywhere. It's usually saved for formal stuff. But it's nice knowing the history of my name. well, what little history we can gather. Nothing exciting though. Like some people have, oh, I got claims to nobility or da, da, da. It's like, no, it's nothing like that. It's just nice to know kind of where my ancestry likely came from and like where they traversed from. I've actually got very strong Canadian in me, like on both sides of my family. In fact, my grandfather on my mother's side is Canadian. Like he was born naturalized Canadian citizen, and then he moved to the United States and got his citizenship. And in the United States, when you get your citizenship, I believe, like at least when he did it, you have to revoke your citizenship of another nation. Canada allows you to have dual citizenship, so you can be like a U.S. citizen and still be a Canadian citizen. But when you become a Canadian, become a U.S. citizen, I think you have to revoke your Canadian citizenship. And my grandfather did that through military service. But like, you know, he became full American, but like he was born and raised in Canada. So I've got that strong connection there. And then on my dad's side, like my grandpa's father was Canadian and came down to the United States and established like a business and became a citizen that way. So it's funny and kind of interesting how personal this Canadian connection kind of is for me, because I'm absolutely American. Like, that's what I am. But my ancestry is very heavily Canadian. What's actually interesting too, though, because like on my mom's side, so like I have my grandfather who is Canadian, who became a U.S. citizen. He married my grandmother. She's Mexican, who became a U.S. citizen. So they ended up both meeting in the United States and getting married. And like, there you go, like parents of my mom. So Canadian, Mexican. And then on my dad's side, you go back 3 generations and we're Canadian there as well. So yeah, I got a lot of Canadian in me. Not enough to actually, you know, make anything of it. Like I even looked, I was curious, like if I could like get my dual citizenship of Canada, like, and it turns out I could if my grandfather hadn't had to revoke his Canadian citizenship to become American. If he hadn't done that, I actually could have been naturalized Canadian. Effectively, I could have submitted to Canada saying like, hey, my grandfather was Canadian before such and such bill was passed, and because of that, like, can I claim citizenship? And they would most likely have said yes. I believe I would have had to like fulfill certain requirements. Like I believe I would have been able to get a working visa, and if I spent a little time in Canada and got like lodging, I could just become a Canadian citizen. And I'm sure there's exceptions to all of that. I didn't look too far into it once I figured out I couldn't do it because of the nature of the way things played out. But part of me was really excited at the idea of being able to like explore that Canadian heritage a lot more detailed. But I plan to go to Canada on a vacation a little bit. I don't know if there's really much I can do like looking at my family in that regard, because for one thing, like it's just been a while. But hey, it's just kind of cool, you know, to realize like I have a very strong connection to Canada. So yeah, Ellen and I could be cousins or something. Anyway, I'm just rambling today. Names can reflect our history, national characters. So yeah, that's a bit of my history, my family history tied to my name.
日本人の桜に対する感情は特別なものがありますね。
I mean, it's not just Japanese though. I mean, doesn't everybody get their breath kind of catch a little bit when they see cherry blossoms? They're gorgeous.
ああ、桜はともすれば日本人の心と言ってもいいかもしれないな。
それじゃあミオのでいいです。私は年下ですから立浪ちょいのままでいいでしょうか。
まあいいよ。そういや、ミオのは任官して本当に半年程度だったんだな。大したもんだ。
バビロン語に任官ってこと？驚きです。エレンともぴったり息合ってたし。
Oh, that is great. Weird. So yeah, she's only been a pilot post Babylon. That is actually really crazy.
だから言ったでしょう。雫の方が逸材だって。 この子見てたら機動降下兵でしたなんて自慢したくなくなります。
She might have a point. She's only been flying for 6 months in a TSF, but she's already like on par with these 3. That's really impressive.
褒められちゃった。でもバビロン前から訓練課程に入ってましたから。
That's a minor detail.
にしたってすごいもんだ。
I remember that one guy told me there were some upsides to lowering the age of conscription back during my time in Kyushu. Since everybody gets drafted at some point, you might want to train those kids when they're in an impressionable state, so military life comes to them as second nature, and that's going to help them survive that sort of thing. I told him that forcing kids into military service too early sets them on a path for life. We all had the freedom to choose, so it ain't fair that we're taking it away from future generations. In the end, he was vindicated by history. Freedom to choose is a luxury we can't afford to grant kids anymore. That's
雫は
depressing.
場数以上に伸びてるからね。あの機動センス、天性としか言いようがないわ。
She is. Like, it's very impressive.
エレンちゃんの動きをずっと見習ってるからだよ。
Aww.
ああ、2人はずっとエレメントを組んでるんだってな。
ええ、私がシアトルに来たのと雫が任官したのがちょうど同じ頃で、それ以来ずっと一緒に組んでますね。
It's been half a year since we settled here, but it ain't like we're fighting daily. But you can count the times they've sortied since Babylon on 2 hands. That Ellen, an orbital diver, and the real deal, has a high opinion of Miyono, speaks volumes. The kid must perform way beyond what you'd expect from someone with less than 10 battles under her belt.
どっちかっていうと雫の方が突破力がありますので、私はそのお膳立てをしてあげてるだけですわ。
So Ellen's been coaching Miyono to grow to the best pilot she can be.
なるほど。ミオノの未来は明るいな。
Aww.
エレンちゃんのおかげですよ。でも立浪ついもすごいです。この間のゆずちゃんもすごく動きやすそうでしたし。
Oh yeah, we're approaching like full circle jerk here.
ゆずちゃん。はい、ゆずちゃん。ダメでしたか？
Yuzu-chan is pretty cute.
いえ、全然構わないわ。そんな風に呼ばれたことがなかったから、ちょっと驚いただけ。
そういえば、ゆずかたちは何と呼び合ってるの？
That's a good question.
二人もずっと一緒にやってきたと聞いたけど。
私は、注意かしら。
あら、それじゃあ流儀に反することになるんじゃないの？ずるいんじゃない？
Ellen is, she's great. I like her on the squad, that's for sure.
それは、でも、それで慣れちゃったし。
俺は考えてみれば名前自体を呼ばないような。でも呼ぶとしたらこういう時はゆずかかな。
He sounds very unsure about that.
いちいち気にしてないので覚えていません。
She's so cute. Oh my gosh.
あら響、日本人は名字あっての名前だったような。それは名字で呼ぶという意味ではなかったんですか。
Hibiki is just a bundle of exceptions, okay? Don't think too hard about it.
ああ、確かにそうだけど。
にもかかわらず、ゆずかは名前。
No, Ellen.
意味深ですね。
God, you're gonna make it all horrible.
私は別にそんな。
ゆずかが響のことを距離を置いて呼ぶのも逆に意味深。これはもしかすると。
Ellen, you're terrible. But she's having so much fun.
いや、それはたまたまこいつとは昔からの長い付き合いで。
長いお付き合いなんですね。なるほど、納得です。
I was all smug and I decided to joke. I was gonna say, do I hear bells?
違います。でも、ゆずちゃんは名前の方が可愛いし、それでいいんじゃないのかな。
Apologize for the coughing. Oh gosh, I tried to inhale apparently. Mood shattered.
だって柚子の香りでしょ。仙道っていうのもなんかかっこいいけど、女の子ならやっぱり可愛い方がいいと思うな。
Okay.
ついもきっとそういう理由なんじゃないのかな。だって私の名前のことをあんなに考えてくれた人だもん。
Shizuku, for the rescue.
ミオの
Miyono.
こういう話をするには日が高すぎたか。
注意。
ああ、そうだな。ああ、そうだ。
Ellen's jokes can be a real handful, but they're definitely lighting up the mood. And Miyono's childish innocence makes you want to protect that smile, like you instantly realize it's something precious. It's amazing how they're not just personable, but pretty darn good pilots in their own right. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds in store for us. Me neither, man. This is already really fun. Ooh.
第6次シアトル防衛戦にて祖国防衛に準じたすべての英霊に対し敬礼。
鈴原。
I let her die, just like all the others. I won't ask for forgiveness. I don't have the right. There's nothing we can do but keep moving forward. I can't, I won't let her sacrifice be in vain. It's the least I can do to make up for what I did. And Lieutenant Hikawa? I'll take care of your people, I promise. They're the real deal. I couldn't have asked for a better team. Everything's gonna be alright, I'm sure of it.
以上をもって帝国本土防衛軍第一戦術機構連隊第一大隊部隊操を終わる。解散。
October 8th, 2005. Yeah, you know, 2005, I very likely would have been already, like, in the military at some point or another. Like, I would have been drafted but just barely. Like, if I weren't in training when, like, all this is going down, I would have been, like, very recently conscripted. Had I survived, most likely would not have survived. You know what? Kind of want to keep going, but I think we're going to stop here. It was a long but good conversation. I got some rambles in, but I feel like this is just going to be a good start to something here. So, like, this is just a good place for us to end, I think. I'm very happy, though. Very happy with this episode. And I think I got the remnants. It's interesting. I don't think I've ever been able to talk about my Canadian heritage before. But I think it's going to be something that's going to help color a lot of the implications with Ellen a lot. Because, I mean, I'm not Canadian, but it's like one of those things where, like, whenever you get a kind of tense situation, like a sudden reversal of fate with Canada and France, like, for the American point of view, it's a betrayal, and, like, they're, like, now prime enemies, right? And anytime you always get worried about people who could be, like, spies or moles, or people who could be, like, potentially, you know, sympathetic. And so you often will see, you'll often see that happening for people who are associated with them, even if it's, you know, by birth but not by choice. Very similar to what happened and the terrible things that Japanese naturalized American citizens went through during World War II because of all the intensity of the war in the Pacific. So I wonder if I were actually there with the heritage I have, where I'm American, but I have very strong Canadian, like, ties through my family, even if they're not really ties I personally have. But if it was in my record showing that, like, I have family who are Canadian, you know, very close to my, like close to me genetically, I guess you could say, I wonder if there'd be scrutiny for me as well. Like, Ellen obviously much more so because she is a Canadian citizen, but, like, would I get flack for it too? Possibly. Is it something I'd try and hide? I don't really know. I'd hope not, but at the same time, I could see myself being scared to talk about it, so I just wouldn't bring it up. But I wouldn't deny it if it were, like, you know, accused of me or whatever. But we'll have to see. But thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. There's some interesting stuff going on in the future. I'm looking forward to like this year. I think there's going to be some really solid progress going on, and I recently had an interesting idea of a project to be launching. Ultimately, I'm going to be recording a special patron cast here, probably it's going to be this week. I'm trying to decide if it's going to be right after I record this or the next day. It's a little late, and so I'm not sure if I really want to do it right now. So I'm thinking I'll just record it tomorrow, assuming the Pokemon goes okay. Oh, there's a lot to do. But yeah, I'm really excited to be able to do that. Yeah, if you haven't seen, I'm doing a Nuzlocke run. It's going great, just great. I had a horrific event happen, but we're still going. So hopefully I can pull out a win here in the end anyway. But there's also going to be other kinds of content we're going to be covering on the channel. It's going to be really exciting, so hopefully you stick around for that and check it out if you want to. Thank you for your support. Any likes, comments, subscribes, whatever you do, or even just watching, it means the world to me. It makes such a difference. Even on the YouTube side of things, it's just so nice. So thank you so much for that. And thank you especially to the wonderful patrons who are supporting the channel directly. You guys believe in me. I'm trying to do my best to live up to those expectations. I want to make sure that you feel like you're a part of this story, and I think there's going to be some really good things to come for you. I'm going to try and make some more exclusive type content for you this year. Specifically, of course, keep in mind, we're getting close to the end of Mamiya, which is my Friday special, which means that you are going to directly help me choose the next series we cover on the channel at the time when that one ends. So if you are a patron, whether you have been in the past or you are currently now, keep an eye out on the Discord. I'll be making announcements there where you can help me decide what the next game is. So I look forward to being able to share that with you. But yeah, until the next video you're watching me, or to see me in next, I'll see you there.